Okay. Give me 1 second here. Just making sure we're getting everybody on. Alrighty. Okay. I think we're live. I feel like I always have to ask that question, don't I? Okay, so hi, we're live, I believe. Welcome everybody. My name is Jorie Houlihan. I am your guide for the dopamine deprived, and it is Topic Tuesday. So every Tuesday, I come on here live at 1 p.m. I guess it's Central Daylight Time now, to talk about something ADHD related. So this week's podcast was is about the need to externalize our thoughts. It's sort of like thinking of it as like a second brain, right? So think about when maybe we're making mac and cheese, right? This is my favorite one because this happens to me still all the time. I'm making mac and cheese and I throw out the box and then I'm like, shoot, how much milk did it say? And I have to go back. It's like, wait, how long am I supposed to cook that for? And I have to go back. And it's just disgusting because my brain just doesn't retain that information, even though I've been making mac and cheese for like 50 years now. So think about how often you have maybe had a great idea while you were driving. And by the time you got to the stoplight, you had already forgotten it. I literally yesterday had, I thought, how do I want to talk about Topic Tuesday? And I thought it was brilliant when I thought about it. And between having the thought and then sitting at my desk, gone, gone, just still kind of gone. So I'm winging it. But you get my point, which is that like in that very short time span, it can be gone in a heartbeat, right? And so I want to talk about a little bit about what's happening and why you should not feel bad about it, and then some things that you can do to help yourself. Okay, so, you know, this is largely rooted in our working memory. And so working memory is your brain's ability to hold information for short periods, which clearly for us is a bit of a challenge, right? And so ours just works differently. We process that information differently. And so you want to think about it like this. Imagine that you're trying to carry groceries, into the house, right? Now, a neurotypical person may have like a nice big basket or something that makes it really easy to pull everything into the house. We, on the other hand, will have like we're trying to do everything with our arms. I'm picturing my Chicago days when I would live like on the top floor of a walk up, and I'd be damned if I was making 2 trips. So I would have all these groceries, right? And then, you've got like awkward boots on if it's winter, and then somebody calls and for some reason you think it's a good idea to answer it right now, right? Like something's going to drop. That's a little bit about what this is like. And the thing that kind of kills me about it is that we know we're like this. We know that we forget things, right? And yet we keep doing the same things. So we keep trusting our memory. And I honestly, I can't tell you how many times I have said, oh, I'm totally going to remember this. This is a brilliant idea, blah, blah, blah. This always happens when I'm driving, by the way. And so let's kind of look at how we might be able to just change that a little bit. Now, I want you to think about this as having a second brain. When we externalize our thoughts, I want you to think about whatever you decide, whatever media you decide to use, which we're going to talk about in a minute, think about this as your second brain. This is something that is outside of you, that is going to be reliable, that is going to, it will take the mental load off, right? We're always talking about taking off the mental load because when you're trying to keep everything in your head, you end up pushing out all the stuff that does need to be in your head, right? One of my podcast guests, Rana Balinki, she quoted, and I cannot think of the guy's name, and I apologize. If I find it, I'll put it in the comments. But he said, our brains were designed to create ideas, not to hold them, or something to that effect. And I just love that because we constantly try to hold everything up there. So for a lot of us, our systems may seem kind of complicated to others, and sometimes we do make them too complicated even for ourselves. So that's what I want to talk about today. Um, what you really want to do, it is really just about getting these things out of your head. That's the most important part of this. Get it out of your head. All right. Whether it is writing it down, whether it is using a voice recorder, what have you. And we'll get into this more in a second. But the more you can get out of your head, the easier it is going to be for you to retain information up there that you actually do need to keep up there. Right. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be super simple. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I will go off on tangents on this one. So the thing is about it's not just about getting it out of your head, but it's also putting it where you will see them, right? So like I will write out a to-do list and then I will promptly forget to look at it all day. And so I have to have a reminder that says, look at your to-do list, because otherwise, what's the point? Okay. But I got all this stuff out of my head, which was great, but I still need the reminder to look at my to-do list, right? Um, but using your phone, using sticky notes, using a notebook, using a wall calendar, all of these things, using voice memos, all of these things can be really wonderful. The trick is, though, we tend to eventually block these things out, right? So if, let's say, you use sticky notes on your computer monitor, your brain's going to just kind of tune it out after like 3 days or 1 day in my case, right? So what you want to do, if that is the case, is you want to maybe change up the color of the sticky note on a regular basis. Change the ink that you wrote it in. Move it around your screen so that it's just something that's going to catch your attention, right? Um, if you have a notebook, okay, so ADHD, right? We have a notebook and we will lose those a lot. This is where it's really important. Like my to-do list is in my Remarkable, and my Remarkable is either on my desk, it's in my purse if I go to like a networking meeting, or it is down on the cabinet outside of my bedroom because I use it to journal as well in the morning. So that's the other place it is. That's it. It's in one of those 3 places. All right. So if you want to use a notebook, which I do recommend using handwriting things out first, just make sure that you have a very strict policy about where it is. Now, while I do believe that handwriting things out is better for ADHD brains, I also know we live in a digital world. And if you have a to-do list and you need to remember some of these things on the to-do list outside of your home, for example, that is when you will want to put them into a digital form, right? I have a written planner, but I also have a digital planner because I need the reminders for my appointments. If it was just written, forget about it, right? So it's okay to have a hybrid. And Rana actually talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like, it's okay. You just need to do what works for your brain. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I think sometimes we worry too much that people are going to think we're weird because we have to do these things. First of all, nobody's asking. Nobody's paying attention to this stuff. Just do what works for you. Really. Okay? There's no judgment, at least not from me. So, but let's say you're trying to remember to you have to take your gym shoes with you because you're going to work out after work. And you forget them all the time, right? Or you forget the gym bag. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm just going to put it right in front of the door. And I can't tell you how many times I myself and clients that I've had have said, yeah, I've done that, but I just literally walk right over it and just keep on walking, right? For some reason, that doesn't work. However, hanging it on the doorknob of the door you're going out of is different. Your hand's going to hit that doorknob. It's actually going to be kind of hard to turn. It's going to actually be a different kind. It's not something you just sort of kick out of the way. You can't really turn the doorknob with it on the handle. If you have something that you have to remember to take to work and you put a sticky note on your door, you're going to walk. You're not even going to see the sticky note. Ask me how I know this. Again, it's okay to do the sticky note, but maybe put it also on the door handle. Because when you touch it, it's something that feels different. It feels weird. It's not how you normally do things, and it will catch your attention. Okay? So those are a couple of things that I have found to be really helpful for myself. I have had clients use it and it's worked really, really well for them. So that is another way that you can go about it. Okay. Um, some people will put their car keys in the fridge with their lunch so they don't forget the lunch and they can't leave without the car keys, right? That can also work. So be creative with this. Have some fun with it. Like it doesn't have to be all like serious and I have to be organized. Some people come up with like crazy ideas to remember to do things and that's what works for them and it's fabulous and that's all that matters. You just want to work with your brain, okay? The idea though that we can keep all of this stuff in our heads is setting you up to fail. There's no other way I can put it. You're not gonna. It is incredibly difficult for us because our brains just don't retain that information as long as a neurotypical person does, right? I and it doesn't matter how much something is important to you. There is a woman I know who lives down the street from me, and she had lost her husband suddenly. And I would drive by her house like every single day when, and now my dog is barking at the male person. So I don't know if you can hear it. Sorry. Anyway, and so I kept saying, oh, I really need to reach out to her. I really need to reach out to her because I would drive past her house every day when I would drop my daughter off at school. And I'm not kidding. By the time I got home, which was like a minute later, it was out of my head. And every day I would drive by and I would feel terrible. And I'm like, what do I got to do? And that's when I discovered the power of my cell phone for these things. So if you have an iPhone, you can say, hey, and I'm not going to say it because I'm using my phone to record this right now. SIRI, remind me to reach out to so-and-so when I get home. And if that is already set up in your phone where your home address is, it will remind you of that every time you come home until you check it off. If you don't have that set up yet, you can simply say, remind me of this at whatever time, right? And then it will remind you at that time. This has been one of the biggest game changers for me because whenever I am driving somewhere, I will remember something I'm supposed to be doing or someone I'm supposed to call, or I come up with a great idea for something. And when I started to do this, I actually started to follow through on those things because I would remember them because I was using that system. So now here's the main thing I want to talk about though. It is really important that you only try one thing at a time. Okay. I want you to think about one challenge you have in terms of like you forget to do something because you don't write it down, right? And then I want you to think of one strategy, whether it's using your phone, whether it's writing it down, whatever it is. One, all or nothing thinking it just rears its ugly head in these situations. No, I'm going to try all of these things. Except that if you try all of those things, first of all, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to follow through on any of those things. But also, you're not going to know which of them is actually really working for you. And I want you to do it for a week. Whatever strategy you're using and whatever challenge you're having, in terms of your working memory, 1 week, see how you do with it. Right? I want you to see, especially if it's working, how much lighter your brain feels when you're not trying to remember everything. And if it doesn't work, look at the whole thing that you tried. Like maybe there was just one component of the strategy that you were using that isn't working, right? Or maybe you just need to start over, and that's okay too. Just remember, you didn't fail if this doesn't work. It simply means that particular strategy didn't work for you in this circumstance. Okay? It's really important to know that. We get very down on ourselves because we're like, see, this doesn't work. One thing, if it doesn't work for a week, no problem. You're going to try something else. Okay? Play around with it. Find your sweet spot. All right? This is about you just learning about you and learning about how your brain works. And I want you to set yourself up for success. So I can assure you that if you use one strategy at a time, give it at least a week to work, and you continue to try until you find the thing that works for you. You will find the thing that works for you, but you can't give up on that. Okay. And you're worth doing that for. Okay. All right. So being forgetful is human. We're forgetful maybe more than others, but that is why having an external brain, a second brain, whether it's your notebook, your phone, whatever it is you decide to use, that's why it's so important. Okay. So, and it isn't that you are incapable. It's not that you're somehow stupid or any of the other things that I'm sure you've told yourself. Again, ask me how I know this. You just have a brain that's wired differently, and you are working, um, you're honoring how your brain is working, right? So that you can set yourself up for success. Okay, so that is it for today. If you have any kind of cool hacks or strategies that have worked really well for you in this department, please put them in the comments. I would love to learn. I always love learning what other people are doing because I learn new things all the time. And if there are any topics that you want me to cover beyond what I'm already planning for Topic Tuesday, let me know. Definitely check out the podcast, this week's podcast. I think it's like 10 minutes long. It's super short. So short, sweet, to the point. So go check it out. And you can find that at joriehoulihan.com and just click on podcast. And I think that's it. So anyway, I hope, let me check to see if there's any comments. There usually aren't, but let me see. Oh, wait, there's one. Oh, no, that's me. Hold on. No, I don't see any. All right. So that is it for this week. And yeah, so if you have any comments, definitely put them in there so I can check them out. And I will do what I can in terms of other Topic Tuesday episodes. And again, also, if you do have some ways of helping with your working memory challenges, please put those in the comments as well, because we can all learn. While a lot of people come here to learn, I'm always telling people you're also very often here to teach, right? So please put that in the comments as well. All right, that's it. Have an amazing week. It is November. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Anyway, so the end of the year is closing up. We're going to be having some really good stuff coming up. So I can't wait to talk to you later. All right, have a good one.